Folks, again, we're continuing our conversation with Karen Justice-Guard. She's the CEO of Safe Havens, as well as a partner in the Approved Realty and Mortgages Group. It's based out of Concord and is making an impact in people's lives in ways I never would have imagined when we started this interview sequence some weeks ago. You can read about her story and Keep Showing Up. Again, the book is available on Amazon.com. But really hearing it firsthand has truly been an inspiration. We've talked about how your program, Karen, has taken people from welfare to work, the different aspects it tries to address, and the fact that you were able to purchase 6 homes. Again, if people aren't housed and have the transportation and the daycare, all of that on one site, well, lives can fall apart pretty easily, particularly in the hectic lives we live here in the Bay Area. Where do you see the group going? What is the next step?
Well, right now we have an opportunity which we have brought to Alameda County in Oakland. We have a 98 apartment building and they have offered me 4 apartments to start.
Okay.
I'm tied into the parole office, the social service, welfare reform for my clients. And what we need out there, what's different than having the 6 homes that I have, is that I really envision this 98 apartment building to be the first all-inclusive welfare reform pilot that will have everything on one site. Okay. What's really nice about this one, it's just around the corner from Youth Uprising, which they just spent $11 million to bring a solution for youth. And a lot of our clients have youth. And this is right in an area that is downtrodden, that is infested with drugs and alcohol and domestic violence. And you know, I was there the other day and I was standing up at the top of the apartment and I was looking out into the corridor. Mm-hmm. And the music's blaring and people are running out in and out of apartment buildings. And I had my arms crossed and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a safe haven, this is what I'm coming into. Wow. But where do you start? You have to start somewhere. So they're already got the security guards going and they're putting up there's a lot of cars that had to be towed out. Mm-hmm. Well, we got resistance. They tried burning an apartment, they tried blowing up a car, but that comes with the territory when you make a stand and say, this isn't happening. The other thing that I had noticed was a little girl. They have nothing on site because people that are downtrodden try any avenue to get things. So if it's lawsuits or whatever it may be, it's just really high risk. So there's nothing, they've covered the pools up. There's nothing for any really children to do there. And I saw this little girl pushing a milk carton. And as I was walking by her, I looked, because she was up on a step, I looked up and down thinking she had Barbies in there or something. And I was really discouraged and kind of scared of what am I doing here. And you know what she had in that cart? And at that moment I knew Safe Haven for Little People. She had empty bottles of booze. That's what she was playing with. That is her life. That's the next generation that we in our community are assisting. And I knew at that moment where my heart was in that fear, that was just fear. And the reality is it takes a community to change a community. Yeah. We have an opportunity to have these 98 apartment buildings. I need the community to step up, which I learned the different way than in Contra Costa County, that I thought I had to fund it all. I had to make all I had to do it all myself. You know, I can't do it all myself. Yeah. Everything is done, the educational programs, the solutions done, the 12 steps. Now we have an opportunity to bring it to Oakland. It's on 88th and Hillside. It is a horrific place, but could be a passionate, powerful solution. That I need corporations to say, you know what, I want to be a part of the first all-inclusive welfare reform pilot and bring that solution because it takes money. The bottom line, and you know that, that's what you preach, is let's look at the bottom line. You know, we are a 501c3. You will get not only the tax deductible, but you will have that socially community involvement that you're making a difference, what really matters.
Well, Karen, I wanted to touch sort of on that. Again, I see the hope, I see the possibilities, I see success at 88th and Hillside in Oakland. But I wanted to touch on what the Contra Costa Times had written about on Safe Havens some weeks ago. They were, as I understand it, they were making mention of the 6 homes you have out in the East Bay and financial difficulties. Would that be a fair assessment of the situation?
That's the only assessment at this time. What happened was, a year ago I ended up on chemo. And because of my past, I had retrieved hepatitis C. And over the last 7 years, it progressed. And the hepatitis attacked my kidneys. And if I didn't get it in remission, now I didn't just have a liver disease, I had a kidney disease, vascular colitis. So if I didn't get it in remission, I was going to have kidney dialysis. So I went on the interferon. Well, within 2 months or a month, it wiped out my white blood cells. So then I was injecting not only the interferon and the chemo pills, I had to every other day a shot of bone marrow.
Okay.
And then it wiped out my red blood count. And then I had to do a red blood count shot weekly. Well, through that, I had no white count, even though I was taking the bone marrow. So I ended up in the hospital 9 times with E. coli. All antibiotics stopped working, it poisoned my system. Then they had me on morphine patches because of the horrificness of being on all these drugs. Yeah. And you know, I was doing everything from my bed, and so what I did was I refinanced a lot of my houses that had, you know, 65–70% because I had investors.
Yes.
And it was like their investment, and I needed to protect their investment, but if I shut down the program, how would I pay back their investment? Yes. How I wasn't in the community going to the Lions clubs and doing grants and stuff because I was horrifically sick.
Yes.
So at the time I just had to tell everyone to trust me because I knew I was getting a movie of the week for my book. Mm-hmm. And when that was going to go into production on their timeline, mm-hmm. And it's looking like hopefully at the end of the year it will be going on in production. That would give the exposure that we needed, that would sell the book, that would
exactly.
you know, sell the product lines. And so it's just been one of those waiting to that next step. But I was really sick, and so where we sit today is that when I got off the chemo and everything, I was left with an opiate addiction. It wasn't like, okay, Karen, now you're off it, mm-hmm. now stop the drugs. It was 13 months of being on morphine patches and 9 hospital stays within 3 months and all their drugs. So I tried for a month and a half on methadone and things like that. And you know, I didn't know that Safe Haven would save my life. And the reason that I say that is this. My family had to come to me because addiction is addiction. Okay. And once you set off, it's a mind and body. Even though I have all this sobriety and had all this time in and out of program,
yes.
when you stop doing it on a daily basis, your spiritual foundation falls. And when you're feeding, because of circumstances, your craving has been expanded. Mm-hmm. And it's out of control. Yeah. And I had to look that I had a horrific opiate addiction, and I had this program. So I tried to do it myself, and I wasn't. And it starts the denial mm-hmm. and the lie that I could handle it, and I couldn't handle it. And it really started me into some bad behavior. And my family had to come to me and say, Karen, if you don't do something and go into rehab, mm-hmm. we will expose you to the media. Well, you know, if I didn't have Safe Haven, what would they be able to say? I could not maybe even be here today. And you know what? I entered into rehab in San Jose, and I went through their program, and now I have, on the 11th, I'll have 7 months of clean and sober. But I'll tell you, this inventory process, I really had never done a thorough of really looking at my defects because they worked for me for a long time. They don't work today.
They're coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Folks, in next week's segment, we'll talk more about the success stories that Safe Haven has brought to light. We'll also talk about the struggle and how you can help. We'll be right back.